Acting with Power by Deborah Gruenfeld. Understand power and use it confidently in any role. Power is often viewed as a mysterious and reserved for people who are either specially gifted or ruthlessly determined. But power exists in all relationships because we depend on each other in different ways. We all have some degree of control over other people's circumstances, and while we can be self-serving in how we use our power, everyone is better off when our aim is to help others or to achieve a common goal. From stepping into a familiar role and changing things from the top down to choosing between taking up space or being unassuming, this read provides guidelines on how to embody a powerful role, just like a seasoned actor taking the stage. By the end of this read, you will learn why it can be valuable to downplay your power, how to secure a seat on a rocket ship, and what power means when you are at the very top. Power is the role we play in other people's lives. We all have it in one way or another. High status, impressive wealth, and the authority of a title. This is what we tend to think of when we hear the word power. We believe that the people who have these things are automatically powerful, but this isn't quite true. People with status, money, or the right title can be powerful, but so can those with none of these things. For example, someone about to drive out of a full parking lot isn't powerful on their own, but the minute someone else pulls up, eagerly waiting to take the parking spot, the first driver suddenly has a power. If he wants to, he can delay the newcomer by being in no rush to leave. What this thing shows us is that power isn't about what we have. It's got more to do with social relationships and how much we can control other people and their circumstances at any given time. The point is, power is the role we play in other people's lives, and we all have it in one way or another. Whether relationships are professional, personal, or just with whoever happens to be nearby, they force us to depend on each other. This means that everyone has power, even if it looks or feels like they don't. Take a parent-child relationship, for example. A parent can make decisions for the child and tell her what to do, making the parent powerful. But if the parent wants love and respect from the child, which most parents do, then the ability to give or withhold this means that the child has some power too. Work settings provide another example. Bosses have power because they can determine who works on which projects and how much people get paid. But an employee who's great at her job and highly sought after in the industry has the power to negotiate. Now, a boss can decide to use his power solely for his own benefits. For instance, he could hand over a heavy workload to a subordinate who can't say no, but this isn't what power is for. Socially and in the workplace, hierarchies and power dynamics help people work together for mutual benefit and to solve shared problems. This means that when thinking about how to use the power we have, we shouldn't be asking, what's in it for me? We should consider how we can help other people instead. In the real world, playing power up is a way of asserting power over others and commanding respect. And there are different ways of doing this. Most often, it's by pulling a rank. People enforce rules or get others to comply by emphasizing their authority. For example, Henry Ford reportedly silenced employees who questioned him by saying, "My name is on the building." It's pretty hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue when someone with power says no, interrupts you, or ignores you completely. Similarly, someone with power can freely judge subordinates by making fun of them, complimenting them, or criticizing them. Even if subordinates don't like it, they can't complain because they don't have the power. Playing power up can be arrogant or aggressive if you do it purely to assert your dominancy or to intimidate others. But when people need someone to take charge or make difficult decisions, playing power up is exactly the right approach. Think of a leader who interrupts the most talkative person in the meeting so that other people can share their insights, or one who uses her insight to say no to keep a project on track and under budget. Asserting power in these situations benefits the team as a whole. Studies even show that power holders who do this are seen as competent and caring. So, whenever you are tempted to play power up, first ask yourself if it is in the best interest of those around you, or only for show. Based on the answer, you will know how to act. Playing power down is a way to connect to people and earn their trust. Let's go back to that improv acting class from the previous read. Once again, the acting coach wants to see a powerful character on stage, except this time, the character shouldn't dominate the scene. Strange, right? Well, not to an experienced actor. As we have just learned, playing power up can be an effective way to demonstrate power and command respect. This is not what the only way to inhibit a powerful role. Instead of putting a character's power on display, actors sometimes do the opposite and play power down. This means deliberately trying to seem less powerful, perhaps by not talking as much or by disappearing into the background. Just like playing power up, playing power down has its uses on stage and in real life. The point? Playing power down is a way to connect to people and earn their trust. When those with power downplay it, they make an effort to appear less intimidating and less worthy of attention than they really are. People do this by, for example, making fun of themselves, letting others make decisions, or asking for approval or help. These actions diminish the powerful person while still elevating the knowledge and opinions of those around them. Now, if power is the ability to control people and make things happen, why would anyone choose not to play power up? One reason is that playing power down can be a way of people pleasing or patting the buck, but this isn't how this tactic should be used. Playing power down is how leaders show a willingness to connect with people and not just control them. It's a way of showing that those in power are more concerned with working together than with maintaining status. This disarms people and encourages trust. As two partners at the top venture capital firm, Sequoia Capital discovered, when trying to recruit a young female CEO, their first instinct was to use the power and perks attached to the firm. This failed, so they decided to play their power down. After learning that their prospective hire loved dressing up as comic book characters, they met her dressed in Toy Story costumes. Seeing this high-powered man looking so ridiculous on her account showed the CEO that they would do anything to make her comfortable. She joined the team on the spot. Using imagination, props, and costumes is an effective way to embody a new role. Picture this. After years of paying your dues, you have finally been promoted to senior manager. Suddenly, you have to guide a team, and the higher-ups expect you to challenge them if necessary. But even though you have been working hard for this promotion, you are not sure you are ready for it. After all, you don't feel anything like a senior manager. This situation is a lot like what happens when an actor is cast in a new role. They are given scripts and storylines to learn and have to fully embody the role, however unfamiliar it feels. Luckily, actors have a few tricks to help them get into character, and this can work for you too. The point? Using imagination, props, and costumes is an effective way to embody a new role. Succeeding in a new role requires behaving in a way that might seem out of the ordinary. One way actors do this convincingly through a version of the Stanislavski method, the brainchild of Russian actor, producer, and director Konstantin Stanislavski. Stanislavski encouraged actors to see the world from their character's perspective, both on and off the stage. Following his advice, many actors imagine the things happening to their characters as if they are happening to them. This is known as the magic if exercise. So, the next time you don't feel ready for a new role, imagine how you would behave if you were exactly who and what that role demanded. Another actor's trick is using costumes and props to get into the right mindset for a particular role. Dressing differently and carrying props affects how people behave and how others respond to them. For instance, a senior executive might walk around with an important looking notebook. or dress in a way that makes him feel more confident. In fact, clothes have such an effect that the phrase "suit up" is now widely used to describe preparing for an important task. When taking on a bigger, more powerful role, treat anxiety by rehearsing, warming up, and not focusing on yourself. Many people dream of occupying powerful roles, whether in social groups, family setups, or at work, but stepping into those roles can be terrifying. People often question their own abilities and worry about being judged, which prevents them from using their power well. They might, for example, avoid making tough choices for fear of being held accountable, or they might prioritize being liked and end up making the wrong decisions. Actors also experience performance anxiety, but they have ways of managing it. Their strategies can even be applied to roles off the stage. The point here is, when taking on a bigger, more powerful role, treat anxiety by rehearsing, warming up, and not focusing on yourself. Practice, practice, practice. It might be an old joke, but it is still what actors do in their many rehearsal sessions. When you do something over and over again, it becomes a habit. So, by rehearsing what a powerful role requires, you turn unfamiliar actions into behavior that feels natural. As a result, you start feeling more confident in your role. But rehearsing isn't simply running through what you plan to say. It's more effective to incorporate as much detail as possible. For example, when preparing for a talk, the author puts on her costume, pulls out her props, and works like she is on a stage. This way, she gets fully immersed in the actions. If you have rehearsed it, but still feel anxious before an important meeting or other situation where you need to exercise power, another strategy is to get physical. Warm-ups like stretching, walking, or breathing exercises can help you get rid of nervous energy. Plus, they distract you from anxious thoughts, making you feel calmer. Speaking for distractions, this is another way that actors release nerves on stage. It's difficult to really get into character if you are focused on how you feel or what others might think. So actors make an effort to focus on other things, like the fellow actor on stage. When using this technique, the actor concentrates on the people around her and how they might be feeling. But you can also focus on sounds or objects around you. We have the power to avoid becoming the victims of bullies and to reclaim our stories if police get to us. These days, we hear of people abusing power much too often. Headlines exposing corrupt leaders and revealing major scandals all suggest that power brings out the worst in people. But power itself isn't the problem. In most cases, those who abuse power have certain insecurities and they use whatever power they get to make themselves feel better. Desperately wanting power and control can turn people into bullies, and it's easy to feel completely vulnerable when we encounter them. But this doesn't mean that we actually are. In fact, we can claim our power and flip the script by acting differently. The point is, we have the power to avoid becoming the victims of bullies and to reclaim our stories if bullies get to us. If you don't want to be the target of bullies, you need to spot them before they strike. This means knowing what to look for. We should, for example, avoid people who don't take no for an answer, or those who are overly critical of others, even if they are nice to us. We should also avoid places where bullies might feel empowered. In the same way that criminals often attack in dark alleys or quiet streets, abuses of power tend to happen where no one else can see them. Examples of this include private contexts or places where regular rules don't apply, including work meetings outside the office or after hours. Unfortunately, even with these precautions, we can still become targets of bullies. In these cases, we should behave in ways that will deter them. One approach is to act unaffected by what they do. Those who abuse power enjoy seeing their victims angry, upset, or scared. But if you don't take the bait, you become boring target and they move on. Another approach is to calmly call out bad behavior when it happens. This shifts the power to us. and let the perpetrator know what they are being watched. If we fall prey to bullies despite our efforts to avoid or deter them, being a victim doesn't have to be our story. We can regain our power by removing any blame that we might place on ourselves. Believing that we caused or deserved the abuse can make us target for other bullies or lead to self-destructive behavior. But when we realize that we are not at fault, it becomes easier to make past the experience and to move on with our lives. Using power well as a leader means guiding and looking out for others and elevating people who will do the same. With great power comes great responsibility. This quote has been attributed to the philosopher Voltaire, the British politician Winston Churchill, and even to the Spider-Man anchor. But although the source is uncertain, the message remains clear. The people at the very top of an organization or group have tremendous power, and how they use it impacts everyone. Being responsible with this power means using it for the benefit of those around them. This includes setting the direction, creating a safe space, and filling key roles. The point? Using power well as a leader means guiding and looking out for others, and elevating people who will do the same. Having direction and a shared vision is important in an organization. Without this, personal interests clash and productivity almost impossible. So, at the highest ranking person, a leader should use their power to define and reinforce the overall objective. This sets the stage for each person to contribute meaningfully. But for everyone to make their best contribution, the organization needs to be an encouraging place that's safe from abuses of power. This also falls on the leader. They should be an example of acceptable behavior, and they should be quick to act when abuses of power happen on their watch. A great example of this is how U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General J. Silveria responded when African American cadets at the Air Force Academy were targets of racial slurs. He assembled all 6,500 cadets, faculty, and staff, and made it clear that the academy was no place for those who couldn't treat others with dignity and respect. In addition to defending others, as the Lieutenant General did, leaders can also create an optimal environment by promoting those who are also committed to using power well. There are three qualities that will set these people apart. The first is the focus on achievement. This means a person is more concerned with learning skills and doing their job well than with quickly rising through the ranks. The second quality to look for is warmth. Candidates should care about others and be willing to help them succeed. The third and final quality is a mature approach to power. A candidate should view power as a tool to help others, and they should know how to use it to best serve the organization at large. As a summary, the general point in this book is having a power isn't enough. You have to know how and when to play it up or down, depending on your goals and responsibilities. Sometimes you will need to assert your power to protect others. This might mean taking charge in difficult situations, calling out abuses of power, or elevating those who will also use power to contribute a shared vision. At other times, establishing trust and building relationships will take priority. This is when you will have to play power down by deferring to others or not taking yourself too seriously. While you won't always feel capable of exerting power, by managing different realities, rehearsing your part, and focusing on others or the bigger picture, you can find the confidence to own any role. Actionable advice: protect others by being a powerful upstander. When you witness abuses of power, it often feels less risky to simply be a bystander. But if you make the choice to call out bad behavior despite personal risks, your action will encourage others to do the same. So the next time you see someone abusing their power, put yourself in the role of an actor on the stage, not someone in the audience. Intervene right there and then. If that's not possible, offer your help afterwards. Have a good day.